is for friends.
I thought this music was so epic.
We all like talking about gaming. The only thing that I disliked about the old game. There are so many different conversations started by gaming.
Oh, I forgot I have you.
This could be anything. Okay, walk in that green goo. Oh, nope. That's a no. Anything Gaming Podcast. Hi, welcome to Anything Gaming, episode 29. We're getting through some episodes now. We're doing everything Nintendo this week and a few other bits and pieces. But how are you, Woody? What games you been playing? What's going on?
It's quite hot here in New England, so I kind of want to take advantage of that and try to do some more like physical gaming. So I actually dusted off the Oculus and the PSVR 2, and I started doing some more just like virtual reality. You'd be surprised just what a sweat you build up doing that stuff. Just like seriously, play Beat Saber 30 minutes. It's a workout. I'm sweating. I need to take a shower afterwards. So,
this is why the Kinect never made it with me, because I was just like, this is too much work for a video game.
Seriously, like I want to get into it. I'm looking at other like fitness programs you can get for these systems. Just simple things like. I'm actually kind of regretting it. I was at a store recently and they were selling for $10. I don't know why I didn't buy it, but they were selling Fit Pluses. For the I should have bought one because it comes with a pad, but I was like, I talked myself out of it, even though I probably should have, because I kind of want to get back into like exercising and stuff, but I still want to play a lot of video games. So I figure that's.
So do you think these exercise video games are like for us as we get older? That's what we do. Is that who they're aimed at? Older people? They're like, oh, we can't sit around and drink Mountain Dew and eat Doritos all the time. We have to actually do something nowadays. Is that what they're doing it for?
To me, it's more of a budget thing. You can get like to get proper. Let's just say if you want to get even just like a small little workout thing that you can keep at your house. That's dumbbells, a yoga pad, other things you might need if you want to get like an elliptical, a treadmill, things like that. Now you got a whole system. But if you just got, whether it be a old-timey Wii Sports game or, the virtual reality, and you get to move your body, you don't have to have any furniture moved, really, just an open space. And that's really what it is. It's the convenience of it, because when I get home from work, I don't want to have to go to the gym or, just like do anything.
And you get to do games as well, so I get it. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I've been playing a lot of Tunic this week. Like I've got a question later on about that game that we'll go into some Nintendo stuff first, and I'll get back to it if I remember at the end.
All right. Well, as far as Nintendo stuff, should we just dive into the big, I would say the jewel of it all would be Metroid Prime 4 Beyond.
Oh no, I disagree. That's a jewel, but we can start there.
What do you think's the jewel?
I just want to play Zelda for the first time ever. Like, how big is that a deal? How big is that?
Okay, they actually got it right this time. The Legend of Zelda, where you do play as Zelda, although not the first game that you get to play as Zelda. The first game you get to play as Zelda. Let's be honest. We don't need to count anything else.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of other good ones too that we'll touch on. I want to talk more about Donkey Kong. I think I just feel like talking about Donkey Kong because I love that game.
The Mario Brothers 2. That one's another good one too.
Not so much reservations, but more questions about that one. It seems like it's going to be good. The Mario and Luigi series has always been solid. But with now you got the Paper Mario series on the same console. One, it's just I don't know. It muddies the waters a little, but that's just I feel that's just nitpicking.
All right, we'll start with Metroid Prime. Start with Metroid Prime. Let's do your
amazing. On the surface, it's great. Hey, more Metroid Prime. Who doesn't love Metroid Prime? But it's always been rumored that Metroid Prime 2, well, I don't want to say 2, Metroid Prime 4, we're at the fourth one, might be a Switch 2 launch console, launch title. Because Nintendo's done that before in the past. Usually they do it with Zelda, actually. They did it with the Game to Wii. Twilight Princess came out for both. They did it with what was not Skyward Sword? Breath of the Wild, because that came out for the Wii U. Plus, it came out for the Switch. So I think they always have like a game that is that bridge between Nintendo generations. And I could see Metroid Prime 4 being that. And I gotta say, I saw that footage from Metroid Prime 4. If that's Switch hardware, that's gorgeous Switch hardware. You know, at the very least, that's the best looking Switch game I've seen so far.
Did they state what they were running it on?
Nope.
No.
Not only did they not state that, but they actually, and this is funny, before they announced the Nintendo Direct, they actually even said, we will not be talking about a possible successor to the Switch. They flat out said that just to cut that. And I agree. But that doesn't mean they're not going to show it. They're just not going to talk about it. You know what I mean? And there's a little bit of speculation because it looks good. They're like, maybe this, even if it's not Switch 2 footage, we'll just call it the Switch 2 for now. It's clearly, made alongside a Switch 2 version. You can sometimes see that. You see a little bit with Breath of the Wild, except the draw distance was horrible in the Wii U version, or when I saw it was, compared to the Switch version.
Apparently Breath of the Wild's already getting ported to the next console, and it was running at 60 FPS and looking amazing. So that's this is starting to turn into Grand Theft Auto kind of territory. Nintendo dragging stuff over multiple consoles.
I don't even think they're just dragging out anymore. I think it's like we should expect from here on in any Nintendo console to come out will, in one form or another, have the entire library accessible on that console. One form or another. You know what I mean? Right now, it seems like what they're doing with the Switch is probably going to be the norm, where it's more like, that's just an online service, really, that plays all these games. You don't actually own them. Whatever. They're still going to be there for you to play. Yeah. And I don't think that's going to go away. You're always going to be able to play Mario Brothers, Legend of Zelda, all that. And that means that you'll be, Breath of the Wild. You'll be able to play Breath of the Wild on every Nintendo console from here till they stop.
Yeah, because I did hear that the next Switch is not going to be the same cartridge, so you're going to have to buy it again, as far as I know, if you're going to get the upgraded version. And it makes it interesting for the people that did buy it on the Switch store if they get a free upgrade, because that makes me almost wish I bought it on the Steam store if I'm going to get a free upgrade.
Well, I'm of the pessimistic type, so good news is, I'm sure you'll be able to upgrade to the next console, absolutely, but,
It's going to cost me money.
No, they're good. Honestly, you don't see it too much. I remember when I got my PS5, one of the first games I threw in there was Doom Eternal, and it upgraded. Oh. It upgraded. I was like, oh, awesome. Yeah, great, sweet. I threw in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1-2, $10 upgrade. Yeah, so
depends on who you're with. It depends if it's an EA game or Nintendo game. What did you like about the new Metroid Prime? We're getting off track a bit, but what did you like about that? What looks good? Apparently, they've been making this since 2017 or something like that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I believe it. It's being made by Retro Studios. They're the ones that do the Donkey Kong Country Returns games. More into that soon enough. Honestly, to me, it looks like kind of a back to basics thing. There's a couple new things that I've noticed. But people got to remember, Metroid Prime 3, and I love Metroid Prime 3. Metroid Prime 3 was weird because it used the Wii, motion stuff. It did it very well. It wasn't bad. But it did it better than Skyward Sword did it, I guess you could say. Yeah. But it's still just unique to that. I don't see how they could port that game to controller, honestly. I couldn't see how they did it to Skyward Sword, but they did, so maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Nintendo's learned from that whole forcing that upon us.
Yeah, so what I liked about Metroid Prime 4, how it just looked like a Metroid Prime game. I mean, playing Metroid Prime Remastered kind of reminded everyone, this, and I do hope at the very least, Metroid Prime 2 gets the remaster, because that's a wonderful game as well. Not as good as 1, but, a very, very, a little harder than Metroid Prime Run, honestly, if I remember correctly.
I think I think it just looks like a really solid game that they've done in a first person. Nintendo aren't renowned from first person kind of games a whole lot, so to see them make a really nice first person game, I think that's really good too.
Like I remember, 2002, reading internet forums back then, and people weren't like it was an outside company developing a Metroid game in the first person. I mean, recipe for disaster. Even back then, at that point, the only three Metroid games were the first Metroid, Metroid 2 on Game Boy, and Super Metroid, and that was it. And already, at least in the States, Metroid was a revered franchise. So people were not, that excited. They liked Metroid Fusion that was coming out. That was more traditional, but they were not like everyone was reserved on Prime. And then Prime came out, and I was like, wow, this is good. So, but like you said, Nintendo doesn't do too much first-person anything, and that's really the only thing off the top of my head that I think they do first-person more or less exclusively, unless it's on portable.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm interested to see where that goes, but for me, I was Zelda just because I loved Link's Awakening. I love the way they remastered that, remade that.
Yeah,
they just done and I was kind of sad in some ways that they kind of did that, and they built all those assets, and they built this whole world that I loved a lot, and then they didn't go ahead and make more out of that. They didn't kind of but they were just taking their time, and they've got this, and we get to play as Zelda, which is like really weird. I'm not all that sold on the gameplay, to be honest. It looks like we've got a whole lot of crafting going on again, like a very simplified crafting. So the idea is the echoes part of it, where you see an object and then you can take an echo of it, which is basically like you've taken a sample of that object, and then you can place that around the map to use that for different things. So it's not like, I guess it's not crafting so much, but it's kind of like basically collect this. You go and pick up that chair, an echo of that chair, you go and put it over there, then you can stand on the chair and you can get up to the top shelf, whatever, that type of thing. So I don't know. I guess I'm definitely gonna buy it anyway. So you'll get a proper opinion as we get through to that point. But besides the excitement of playing Zelda, are you sold on the game's play style, like from the trailer and what they talk about?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel that a Zelda game where you play as Zelda shouldn't play like one where you play as Link. They should be two separate entities. Let Link be the sword, shield, bow and arrow, hook shot, ocarina playing, and let Zelda do something different. And honest, the way, I don't know why, it's completely different. But you played the Minish Cap, right? Have you ever played Minish Cap?
Yes.
Okay, remember the stones there? The are they called Connect stones? Like you had these stones, and they would open up new areas because you would have to match it with the stone that you found.
Yeah. I like that.
Some of them were just using. I don't know why. It's a completely different mechanism, but for some reason, I just got that kind of weird flashback from it.
Okay.
Which and that was a cool thing. That would made Minish Cap very distinctive, and I think that'll make this Zelda. And I'm not gonna lie, I already forget the something. I know it involves the word
echoes of wisdom.
Wisdom, yeah. Yes. I knew wisdom because Link's courage, Ganondorf's power, Zelda's wisdom. But I'm excited for it, of course, and we got to, pour one out for Zelda Faces of Evil and Zelda's Adventure on the CDI. The first attempts to play as Princess Zelda in games. Horrible games. But
do you think this is going to? Do you think this is going to have? Now, I get the vibe. I don't know how to put this delicately, but I get the vibe it's going to have a Princess Peaches kind of vibe. It's going to be an easier gameplay than any Link playing Zelda game. I feel like it's going to be more puzzle based. Obviously, you're not going to have the sword, so there's not going to be so many enemies, I don't think. I think it's going to be more around the idea of kind of puzzles, which I like the idea, but like a bit easier. I think. I think they're going to make it for the child friendly, maybe little girls and that too be interested in that playing as Zelda. I feel like they're trying to fill that void because Nintendo showed their hand recently with the whole Princess Peach thing. As we get through it, they've got like the Mario Party Jamboree that are really appealing to the kids generation, the kids that don't want hard games. So, yeah.
But see, and that's the thing. I'm sure if you're more puzzle based minded, I suppose, then yes, a game like Echoes of Wisdom would probably be easier as
Yeah.
opposed to I'd be able to handle hack and slash, minor dungeon puzzles, more physical, really puzzles more than thinking. As far as bringing in like girl or even young boys, I mean. I would think they would have to be Zelda fans first, introduced. Like, no, this ain't an entry level Zelda game. That this is for fans of the series. I mean, and which could be said about any of them, but some of them do break out. I mean, Breath of the Wild's a great starting point. I know many kids today that their first Zelda was Breath of the Wild. I don't know if anyone was Tears of the Kingdom. I can't imagine that. But I don't see this maybe being a break-in point. But it's definitely gotta curb that appetite. People have asked for a real Zelda game where you play as Zelda, and it looks fun. It looks like it employs what you expect Zelda to do with the magic, and kind of like what she does in Smash Brothers.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
I'm sure there'll be some Smash Brothers attacks. I mean, I'm hoping there's a bow and arrow because remember when she shoots that golden bow during Twilight Princess? That was badass.
Yeah,
that was a cool part. So I hope they include that in there somewhere.
Yeah, I can see. Maybe there is a bow and arrow or like a something they can throw at someone or
Right? Yeah,
that type of thing.
She had weapons.
Yeah, she had weapons, but yeah, I've got the vibe. It's definitely puzzle based and solving that and healing the world. That whole healing the world thing, because that slimy goo stuff's gone everywhere and sucking everything into that black purple hole. Yeah, but so moving on from that, if we go to Mario and Luigi, brothership is jumping. That brothership. Is this a two-player game? Is this a two-player game, or is it?
Is that one? I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I only skimmed through that. I never really. The only Mario Luigi game I ever played was Superstar Saga for the Game Boy Advance. Because I've always been a fan of Mario RPGs, whether it's the original Mario RPG, whether it's Paper Mario. And it does have a good sense of humor. There's some good characters in it, but honestly, the game, there was just something about that was off. I could never finish it, and I've always, because there's been others. I think this is the sixth one, so I know Bowser's Side Story, there was another one, Brothership is going to be in the new one. Does it look like something that will it interest you at all? I mean, what do you think of it?
Okay, so I looked at it from a developer point of view, and I thought, okay, Nintendo, you've cheated here. You've been a little bit weak at this. So I don't know if anyone's seen it. Go and watch the trailer and tell me what you think. But basically, they've got, is it Mario 3D worlds, and they've got that environment, and then they've just put a shader over the top of it to make it look a little bit more cartoony than it really is. And it's not actually they've done any more work and created all these worlds. It's basically just a shader over the top to make it look like more of a sketched kind of artwork.
Well, okay, so does the artwork match like the original Mario and Luigi, like for the Game Boy Advance, like that style?
It's more of a cartoony kind of look. Yeah,
because that was the original look.
Yeah, so they've tried to bring it back to that, but they've made it into a 3D, so it's a 3D cartoon kind of vibe.
I mean,
it's a bit interesting,
which is fine. I mean, because that's the thing. To me, Mario and Luigi was always the portable franchise where the consoles would and should get the Paper Mario franchise. But now with Switch being both, really, I guess it makes sense for Mario and Luigi to jump on there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not one of those games series of like the Mario games, like the series that you can think of. Mario and Luigi is one that I really don't hear too many people. Maybe if anyone in the comments wants to correct me, that I hear people talk about. Wow, this was the best RPG I ever played, or anything like that. They never say anything bad about it.
This doesn't look like an RPG at all. This looks more like a follow-on to like Mario 3D Worlds or something like that, where you're playing, but it looks like you're helping your brother. So you might have to jump up high. So Mario runs up to the ledge and throws Luigi up, and then Luigi reaches down and grabs Mario. It doesn't look like a 3D kind of RPG at all.
So yeah, so it takes place in the universe, but it doesn't use the physics.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not the first time they've done something like that. Super Paper Mario. You know, it was a Paper Mario game, but it was a 2D game. You know, there was no battles or anything like that. So yeah, they can flip the script. They've done it before.
I also don't understand the whole titling it Mario and Luigi. I don't know. It just breaks my little brain.
All of them are Mario and Luigi. You know, sometimes with other people.
I know.
Yeah,
there's
Mario and Luigi and Peach and Yoshi and Red Yoshi and Blue Yoshi and Green.
Mario and gang. Anyway, I don't get onto that. Let's just.
Sorry.
Donkey Kong Country Returns. This is just a remake, yeah?
Remake, yeah. This is the conflicting thing. And you know, you've made good points about how people just recycle, you know, the old ideas to bring them back out here, and here it is again, and here's another $60 price tag for it, by the way.
Yeah.
And I want to argue against that, but at the same time, Donkey Kong Country Returns is a really tight game. Like, it's good. I think that Donkey Kong Country Returns games blow the original Country games out of the water. And I love those. Don't think I'm disrespecting those at all. Those are classics as well. But there's something about those games. And Tropical Freeze is already on the Switch, so it's nice that now everything's going to be on there.
Why is that so hard? Like, do you think, because I've noticed this a lot with like Nintendo doing this, they bring a returns or a remake version out, and then they make an easy mode for people like me that can't play the original versions of the game. Do you think this is going to have that? Because Tropical Freeze was stupid hard.
I am 100% expecting it, because when they brought it to the 3DS, that did have an easy mode.
Okay.
So, I mean, I hope that there's a secret world. There's a special like world in the DS version that's wasn't in the Wii version. I hope that makes it too. But yeah, I remember there being easy mode in that version. So if it's in there, sure, they'll just port it over.
Yeah, fair enough.
I never used it, but
no, they're for me.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure they're there.
So, yeah,
You see that a lot in games, though, now. I have no problem with that. If it makes more people play the game, awesome.
I think so, too. Like, because, I mean, I've spent often, like, up to $100 for these games. Why shouldn't I be able to play it the way I want to play it? Like, I don't want to get frustrated in a game and just be like, I can't be bothered fighting this thing. I just want to be able to play through the game. Most of the time I'm playing these games because I enjoy the characters, I enjoy the story, I enjoy the worlds, and I like exploring, and I don't want to just die every 5 minutes. So, yeah. So that's why I'm more on that whole bandwagon of make it easier. Yeah.
No, but I'm sure I'm sure there will be one. I'm almost positive. So don't worry. It'll be. Was there no easy mode in I thought there was an easy mode in Tropical Freeze.
No, not
like
I just got rid of that like not too long ago because I couldn't get through it.
I think what it is, you like there is an easy mode, but if I'm not mistaken, because I remember dying a lot. If you die enough, they'll tell you like, "Hey, you want to play as Funky Kong now?" That way you won't die all the time.
Okay.
I think it's something along the lines of that.
So maybe I didn't die enough times.
Yeah, maybe you only died twice.
I died twice.
Oh, no,
I'm out.
Oh, they want you to die like 5 times.
Yeah.
They expect you to die five times.
I'm out. I'm not doing this no more. I'm goodbye.
Yeah, that's a lot of times. No. Yeah.
So no, but I've always enjoyed the Donkey Kong thing. I remember Donkey Kong on the Super Nintendo, And that was groundbreaking. I used to go over to my friend's place and play that all the time, and it was just absolutely groundbreaking how great the graphics in that game were compared to anything else at the time. And I was really sad to see the Donkey Kong series kind of just get left behind Mario. Like they didn't keep it up since how good that was. I mean, they do a different game every couple of years, but nowhere near as much emphasis goes into the whole Donkey Kong Country world.
One problem too is that, or at least for right now, Donkey Kong Country Returns and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, blah blah blah, they are developed by Retro Studios, the same company that's working on Metroid Prime 4. So you got like this powerhouse that Nintendo's got, but they can really only work on one game at a time because they're one cog in the bigger machine that is Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
So I would suggest maybe someone else. If I had to choose which Retro Studio should stick with, either Metroid or Donkey Kong, I'd probably choose Metroid and let someone else maybe like take a new spin on Donkey Kong. Maybe like, keep the same spirit, because even Retro Studios' vision ain't that much different than Rare's vision. Or even do that. I mean, it's kind of hard to do that because Rare is in Microsoft's house, but that'd be awesome if they could get the band back together just one more time.
Well, I don't think Donkey Kong's is close to Nintendo's heart. Like, weirdly, that was a game that started it off for them, was Donkey Kong with Mario. But I feel like if they'll let people borrow Donkey Kong for other games a bit more than they will Mario. They're like super protective over Mario, but not so protective over Donkey Kong. So I don't understand why they leave that be. So I don't know. But
yeah, well, and I mean, that is one thing that does keep Donkey Kong alive, though, the fact that it is in Mario's wheelhouse as well.
Yeah.
So, like, art, tennis, snowboarding, whatever Mario's doing, Donkey Kong will be a character you can play as somewhere in the menu screen. So Donkey Kong's always at least going to be, but Donkey Kong has its own identity, which should be preserved. And I mean, at least they're coming out with, it's just the original version of a Wii game to the Switch. But it is one of those games that if you have played, give a go.
Okay, I think so. What Mario Party? Why are we still doing this? The last Mario Party that came out, I was kind of over it by the time we played it for about a couple of hours and we were over it. Also, before I kind of get going on this subject, we've got a comment there saying we need a new Donkey Kong needs a new spin. He agrees, 100%. Okay. Mario Party. Why are we doing this? Why are we still going with Mario Party? Yeah, it looks really okay, this Mario Party Jamboree, but it's basically like they go and get all the old Mario Party games, they refresh the little games, and they put them in a new kind of, this time it's a shopping mall that you're kind of wandering around to house all these little games that they've already invented back. Mario Party 2 games, Mario Party 1 games are coming back. So they're not even making anything new. It's just a refresh of all our favorite things in a new shell. But why don't they just make one Mario Party and then DLC it?
I mean, personally, I've had fun with Mario Party, but the fun I've had playing Mario Party most of the time has nothing to do with Mario. It does nothing to do with video games. It's just being with friends,
Yeah.
Usually there's a lot of people and there's a lot of booze. You're young, it's like, hey, I got my GameCube hooked up.
Yeah.
Then you drink and you play Mario Party and you have a great time. But as a game itself, I couldn't agree more with you. They should just release one base Mario Party game and have it be like its own system, have it be its own little network. Like if Call of Duty can be its own platform, I'm sure Mario Party could pull it off.
Oh, I think
and
they
just
could
have
do
updated
DLC,
updated things. They could do seasons of Mario Party.
Yeah.
And that would fit well with it because of multiplayer.
Yeah.
It's not a single player game. You're not going to Mario Party playing single player anyway.
No.
So you might as well just adapt the new multiplayer mode of things.
I agree. I would love to see it as more of a like a season to Mario Party. This time it's a shopping center. The next time we're in the forest. Who knows?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And then, hey, maybe Nicki Minaj will star in one particular season. I'd play it. I'm ready. But yeah, no, I think they should do that. So just another Mario Party. If it's just another Mario Party, I'm just thinking it like it's another Mario Party, and that's that. I'm probably not going to get it. I don't want to destroy my, controllers, so I'm definitely not going. Oh, I got a burner Nintendo 64 controller that's purposely designed to have the stick it's trash. Like, you couldn't play Mario 64 or Zelda with this thing, but if you're playing Mario Party, you need a grind on that, you can do it.
The first Mario Party really annoyed me because that one there you could only play with the little controllers, the Joy-Cons. And then the second one, they made it so you could play it with any controllers. So
okay, yeah.
So I had
Joy-Con, that would be terrible. Ugh.
No, because they had the motion sensors in some of the games. So
okay, so yeah, that's better. That it destroys your controllers less, I guess.
Yeah,
so,
but it was just annoying because then I had to go out and buy another set of Joy-Cons just so me and my two kids could play Mario Party together. Like, it was annoying because we had one like proper controller and we only had two Joy-Cons, but that was no good. So
I do want to give a shout out. This ain't more like, we're talking about remakes and all that. A collection that got announced, and it's an awesome collection. The Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection.
Yeah.
It's all those fighting games that Capcom came out with back in the day. Marvel Superheroes, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, a couple other ones that might not even come over here. That looks really cool. Have you ever played any of those fighting games at all?
No.
No.
But do you think they're going to put it in one? Do you think they're going to have them all as individual games, or are they going to have like one game that you can play like character from this game in that background? Like
if it's like the other Capcom collections, it will not only will it be its own game, but they usually have a lot of like little like trivia and other extras that come with the game.
Okay.
A lot of times you can play the overseas version of the game too. Artwork, what you'd see on the arcade stuff. They do it very well. It becomes a very cool like little like time capsule, a good education on these arcade games, because the arcades, man, they're not like they were.
A side note here. I went to a games con like April last year, and we were playing some of these older games, and someone had invented like like one of those pads, those big pads that you can have for you to play these games. And yeah, like I like those big pads. They're pretty fun. But they had, now I've got to think, so you're hitting with your thumb the down button on there. So they had like forward, they didn't have it so it was up down, left, right, up, down, all above each other like you would on a normal pad. It was like they were put in an order from left to right. So it was right, left, right, up, down, all in. So you could use your fingers without kind of having to move your fingers.
Yeah. Was this a custom job or was this an actual job?
No, this is like the new wave of kind of gaming kind of for like Street Fighters, because they're so precise and so fast that the players that are like hardcore into this now, they want to have it so they can just place a finger on each of these kind of buttons without having to move. So it's more like a keyboard that's just placed there for your fingers so they can just like learn with the, Anyway, are you down that hardcore for these games? Like, are you going to go and buy one of these kind of controllers?
Oh, no. This is a retro thing. This is, arcade, pizza, drinks, maybe two grown-ups, running the register, and that's it. The rest are kids, and you got those big blocky arcade sticks. Usually there was one arcade machine where one arcade stick would be crap, but luckily if it was a good machine that, was making the money, they'd actually work on it in case something broke. So I would rather do that. I not handle. I mean, the way you describe it, it kind of reminds me of those new like custom controllers that you make for your PS5. You ever see those?
Similar to that. Similar. Yeah. Ani Boy has just said he loves those old arcade fighters. He's a 90s arcade kid.
Nice.
So,
Good shout out, yes.
Yeah.
No, but I am looking forward to that. I recommend that. Just from Marvel vs. Capcom 2 alone. Like that alone is worth the price of admission. But the fact that they're adding...
Is that going to go to all the other consoles too?
It has to. Yeah. It has to. No way it's not. For the most part, they were. I mean, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, the big version of that I played and still play is the Dreamcast version. So it's been around. It's been other consoles have had it. So I'll see. You'll see it all around. But for the Switch, since the Switch is kind of a nostalgia console anyway, I'd probably go for that. More than anything else, or maybe even the PC. So I'm looking forward to that. One game. I need to ask you this question: do you like Lord of the Rings?
No.
No. Okay. Well, that's good. I'm not saying I don't like it, but I've only ever seen the first movie, and that was it. Like, it just didn't make enough.
I got to the end of the first movie and didn't realize it was 3 movies, and got the shits and refused to watch any of the other ones because why would you make me sit through 2.5 hours of crap just to tell me that didn't even end properly?
Not hating on fans of the franchise. I'm sure I like my stuff. That sucks. But it just never grabbed me. Honestly, the only thing that ever grabbed me for Lord of the Rings was the old PS2 game for Two Towers.
Yeah.
Which was a very good hack and slash. Mm-hmm. It was tight. And then it had like footage from the movie. They actually recorded different stuff for that game. Like, Ian McKellen was all over it. And it was fun. But I never got too much into it. But you hear about this new game that's coming out, Tales of the Shire?
No, I didn't hear that one.
Okay, so Lord of the Rings has action, wars, and my bow and my axe.
Yeah.
All that stuff. Well, what if instead of that you lived in the Shire and you grew things in a garden and you fished? And you explore.
Sounds like you're describing Animal Crossing to me.
Okay, Animal Crossing meets Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Are you on board with that?
I don't know. I can see a lot of people on board with that, though. I could see that being very popular.
Yeah, I could see that being very popular too. Nothing about it interests me that much. It looks colorful. I'll say that. It definitely looks more story, as it should be. It's the Shire. That's the Hobbits, man. The Hobbits aren't be all
the Shire was always a nice, endearing place. Right.
It looks beautiful. Yeah. Go there and smoke one up with freaking your elbow there, and it's great. Until, then it's oh, by the way, I got the one ring. Then problems arise. As far as I remember it, like I said, it's been a while since I've seen the original movie. But it seems like it'll be a sim game a Lord of the Rings sim game. So check that out, everybody, if you like the Lord of the Rings and Animal Crossing.
Well, okay. So I would just like to say that I didn't know that. I don't think we've talked about Horizon Adventures, which is the Lego Horizon Zero Dawn. Have we talked about that on this show? Have you not seen this? Okay. Have you not seen it?
Okay.
Have you not seen this?
Well, you said Horizon Zero Dawn. That's a completely different game for the PlayStation system.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it.
No. But now they're making Lego Horizon Adventures.
Horizon Adventures.
Which has got Aloy in it. And
it's Lego.
But it's Lego. But it's actually coming out on Nintendo, I think.
Really? I didn't hear about that.
Yes, this is what shocked me. Because I thought it was really weird that they were making a Lego game, Horizon, like the Horizon Zero Dawn, and to have it exclusively on PlayStation. I've never heard of a Lego game being exclusive to one system. They always like to spread it around all the systems. You know what I mean? Try and get as much money as they can out of it. So when I saw it got announced on PlayStation, obviously, because, I mean, it's Horizon Zero Dawn. But now Nintendo's got the Switch announcement trailer for the Lego Horizon Adventures. So that was pretty interesting, I thought, to see PlayStation spread the love.
It is surprising, but I think it would have been less surprising had PlayStation already carved out something on the PC. Because PlayStation's been attacking the PC lately. So clearly, and there's been a lot of rumors with them doing stuff with Xbox too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're ready for this. I think it's ready to have it. And I'm not trying to downplay it at all. It is big. But Horizon, while being a great game, I still got to play the second one. While that is a really good game, I wouldn't say it's the most recognizable Sony IP right now. You know, it'd be either Last of Us or, you know, God of War, something like that. It's a popular one, and it's relatively new. You know, it's PlayStation 4. You gotta remember, Sony's has had franchises going, you know, Twisted Metal. Although a lot of the franchises they had going back in the PS1 days have moved on, like Crash and Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
So, and plus the fact that it's a Lego Horizon game, it's definitely a testing the waters kind of thing. You know what I mean? They're not putting all the chips down. They're just seeing, okay, here's one of our games. Let's see how it moves. Let's see what it does. If it doesn't work out, nothing lost. If it works out, everything to gain.
Well, we got a comment here saying that they're guessing that because Horizon Zero Dawn will be on the next Switch. So you might be onto something here. You might be both.
You know,
kind of pushing
it's kind of ironic because Horizon's kind of intertwined with Nintendo with me. I wanted to get a Nintendo Switch when it came out because I wanted to play Breath of the Wild, but you just couldn't find one. So I was like, all right. So what I did was I bought a copy of Horizon Zero Dawn. I figured, okay, this will hold me over till I can get my hands on a Switch. Yeah. About 2 days after I bought the game, I won a contest where I won a Nintendo Switch and a copy of Breath of the Wild at my local retro game store. So, yeah, Horizon went right on the back burner. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm on Breath of the Wild now.
Yeah, no, fair enough. That's a good kind of win.
So, yeah, but no, like, I did end up playing Horizon Zero Dawn about 2.5 years later after I bought it. Yeah. But no, it was great. Nothing wrong with it. It was a game where I actually enjoyed the crafting, you know, and I enjoyed like exploiting the weaknesses of certain of the dinosaurs. Like I liked when you fight those big dinosaurs and like those little like layers there, and you had they're back. If you hit them with the flame, that'll explode, and then they'll be really weak. And go in and just jab them with that. Great. You know, I'm sure Forbidden West has just more of the same. I hope that Lego Horizon follows that. You know, it had a very nice, smooth kind of combat system.
Well, I think I was trying to work out where Lego was going to go because they've kind of exploited every single thing out there. I mean, I suppose I'm surprised they haven't done a Lego Tomb Raider. But, you know, I mean, everything else they've pretty much brought to Lego that they can. So they've kind of, I guess that they have to go down this path if they really want to make it big. And I guess there's no other way to make one of your own characters big nowadays is by spreading it across multiple consoles, multiple things, so you can kind of grow it. I mean, Tomb Raider grew so much bigger ever since it left PlayStation.
Speaking of which, Tomb Raider is going to Dead by Daylight.
Yeah.
And that's just more, you know, getting your brand out there. You know, all these different avenues. Even if you're not in direct control of it, just the fact that you put that image out there, you know, that's ad, that's time. You know, that's valuable. That's gold.
Oh, also it makes them $1 trillion as well because every kid has to pay $14 to get the Tomb Raider skin. So
speaking of licensing, I actually want your opinion on this. A very strange game is coming out because it's a game I think that's like years too late. Funko Fusion, Funko Frenzy. Here, let me. It's the new Funko game that's coming out, and yeah, it's a Funko game. You know, Funko Pops.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's based off that, like they're Funko Pops, but they're different, like licenses and brands of you know, the popular stuff, like Back to the Future,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Other. And what gets me about that is, as someone who has a bunch of Funko Pops, in fact, right above my head is all my Mega Man Funko Pop. Um, I think that ship has sailed. I don't think Funko Pops are as hot as they used to be, as they were.
I
It came out 10 years
think
ago.
I think they were kind of, you know what I think they started as, because they were a really, really nice price point. They were what, $10 or something each, something like that. They weren't all that expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So originally they were really fun way. So your girlfriend or your mum goes to the shop and goes, you know what? Ed really loves Call of Duty, but I can't afford to buy him anything. Or he's got all the other crap. I'm just going to buy him one of these Funko Pop things. And then all of a sudden I've got one of these and then I'm like, oh, they're pretty cool. I might just grab another couple. And I feel like they were kind of like the gift that you gave people if you couldn't find something else to give them.
Well, what was it? 1 year, my uncle, huge Beatles fan, loves the Beatles, and I was getting him stuff and I already got him something, but I saw this John Lennon pop,
Yeah.
and I knew my uncle, like, to him, life stopped at like 1978. You know what I mean? Like, as far as like, any fads or toys or anything, he doesn't get video games.
He still hates Yoko.
Yeah, like all that. so like something like Funko Pops, he doesn't comprehend it. Why would you buy something and all that?
Yeah.
Didn't stop me from buying it for him though. So so he opened it up and like, hey, it's John, and he enjoyed it. He was like, oh wow, he likes the Beatles. So, and to this day, he still has that Funko Pop.
Because there's that little gift to give people. So to make that into a game, yeah, I'm not even sure if they can do that, because do they have the licensing? Because
I think it's said 60 characters so far.
Okay, so they have.
I know one person.
There's different licenses there. You've got like a licensing for a toy, and then you've got a licensing for digital media. They're completely different licenses. And
to me, I don't know if it's like too late or it's just.
They do have a massive fan base. So there's people that are just megally addicted to them. Like got walls of them in their house, But the people that are addicted to it be all over that.
If you pre-order the game, you get the Walking Dead perk pack. Like, so you get Walking Dead characters.
I'm not getting into it.
Like, according to this, it's got everyone from Jurassic World, Jaws, Back to the Future, The Thing. That's pretty badass. Shaun of the Dead and Chucky. Battlestar Galactica, Umbrella Academy, He-Man. So it's got franchises. It's got to make something interesting. It's just that the whole, to me, collecting of pops is a little passé now. I have friends that like collected hundreds of them, and they got like really good expensive ones, and even they're getting rid of them right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not 100% sold on that the whole kind of thing, but I could see where they're going with it, and if they can get the licenses, it all kind of comes down to the fact of how many licenses they could get. Maybe they're not trying to make money from the game, because I feel like they're going to spend a heap of money on getting the licenses. So maybe they're not trying to make money off the game, but they're just trying to make people buy more of the pops. Because like George, what's the guy from Star Wars? Lucas. He was the first guy to like work on that whole like the movie rights. He sold the movie rights, but he didn't sell the character rights. And then he made the characters and made tons more money off them than he ever did from the movies. So, so maybe this is like a play. Let's make a movie. Let's make some video games, and then we'll sell more of these things. And maybe it's the other way around kind of advertising.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I hope it works for them. I enjoyed Funkos during their heyday. Yeah, it was always fun getting new ones, and I actually have a couple. I got all the Dumb and Dumber ones. I got all the Seinfeld ones. I got all the Blade Runner ones. I got a lot of Simpsons ones. I got all the Mega Man ones.
Mm.
They're super. I got a couple joke ones. Someone
Yeah.
gave me a real like one that was like, what is this? I even threw it in the bag. I'm like, I'll own this, but only because I gotta. And I got cool. I got like the Cyber Demon from Doom, which is a huge one. It was cool, you know.
Mm. Okay, so I'm finished with Funkos. I'm just going to move on to the last thing from this Nintendo event. Is Nintendo. So if you got Switch Online Pack 2, so you've got the whole Nintendo Switch Online experience. Now they're releasing your favorite game as part of that, the Turok and Perfect Dark are coming. But the interesting part about this is that they're going to have their own little store. Before you've got like Nintendo 64 games, and you click on that, and all your Nintendo 64 games in there. But now it's like the Nintendo 64 adults only games are going to have their own little thing. I'm kind of like, why bother with that? I kind of get it from being a parent with kids, but at the same time, I'm just thinking it's a bit silly.
I mean, no, a couple reasons. First off, think of it like as a kid. When you're a kid and you're like, wait, this is the M-rated stuff, yeah. So if they want to showcase what's the cool blood and gut stuff, all right, that's good for them. But it's definitely a lateral move. There's nothing too obtrusive about it. That you got to go to this option now to play Turok. And what's more, I mean, cool that Turok is coming out for the console and everything, but Turok already did. It's its own separate download, and it's optimized for the Switch. And
have they cancelled that though? Are you sure they haven't cancelled that? It might have been a limited time thing.
Hey,
they
maybe they did.
It's likely.
It don't matter. I own it. It's downloaded on my.
Oh,
Switch,
we know
whatever.
you own it, but I'm just saying they could cancel that because remember, Mario 64. That was a limited time release to celebrate Mario, but then they canceled. They didn't make that a long time thing because they were going to release it on the 64 store. So that had to they couldn't offer it in two places or whatever.
I mean, they could do that, but I think that'd be stupid because that same download, it's the one version Night Dive did. They remastered it.
Mm-hmm.
That same version is also on the Xbox. It's also on the PlayStation. It's also on the computer.
Yeah.
So I mean, all you're doing is just getting rid of it. You can still play it on just a different console at that point.
Yeah.
So I mean, but they could, and then you play the 64 version. I don't know. It just feels a lot better, the Night Dive version. You gotta like get in controls, and they even cleaned up the draw distance because the Nintendo 64 did not have a good draw distance.
Mm-hmm.
For some games had better. Some games were Superman. So I hope they do keep that version available because that would be the version I would rather play. And plus, they also have Turok 1, 2, and 3. Rage Wars hasn't come yet. I mean, if that does, then yay. It is cool. There are other M-rated Nintendo 64. I would love Resident Evil 2 to be on this service. That'd be great. I would love that. Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Well, we'll have to.
It's a game on there. Some of the Mortal Kombat trilogy, Mortal Kombat 4. There's a lot of M-rated games for the Nintendo 64. I'm sure I could do this fine one other than that, and
Nintendo 64
South
was
Park?
That was Nintendo 64 was they kind of went PG after that. I think the GameCube had a little bit of M-rated stuff, but then they decided that they were going to be the family friendly console, and then the Wii came out, and they went right to their lowest point where nothing over PG was allowed on the console. So I feel like it kind of went from here and then it went all the way down, and then they're building themselves up because they realize that some people don't mind playing like games like that on their Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely bounced back with that on the Switch. There are violent video games for the Switch now, but you are right because with Super Nintendo, you saw the first cracks of that, like with Mortal Kombat, how they censored Mortal Kombat. A couple other things, be like, all right, so they're not as hip as Sega, they're not as cool, and then once the Nintendo 64 came out, I mean, there were a couple issues they had like going, but at the same time it was still kiddie. But once GameCube came out, now GameCube was the last one where you would see games like Resident Evil or Eternal Darkness or things like that, but it was definitely more of like a kid-friendly thing. But once the Wii came out, then because of motion control and everything, kids could get in. Then it tanked. It was all kids. I'm looking at my Wii games right now.
Nothing.
The only game
PJ.
The only two games that I have that we consider that are M-rated is Bully and Resident Evil 4. Well, that's it. That's the only one.
Call of Duty dumped out by, they were off by Wii Wii? I think they didn't make a Wii game, did they?
No, they did. There was a Call of Duty game for the Wii, and I could be wrong if someone wants to correct me.
Was it Ghost?
I think the last... Ghost was the last game I saw, but that was for the Wii U.
Oh, okay.
But it's the last Call of Duty game that I can think of that ever touched a Nintendo console. Before that, I forget the name of it, but there was a Call of Duty for the Wii, and it used motion control. From what I heard, it wasn't that bad. And also, from what I heard, I think it did have multiplayer to it. But, it was Wii multiplayer, so take it for what you will. But other than that, no, they went kiddie. And then once the Wii U came out, there started to be some more, I won't say violent games, more pushing towards that. And by the time the Switch came out, they had to, and already you've seen the Dooms on there. Plenty of game. I got plenty of M-rated games on there. The Red Dead Redemption, Arkham Knight, all over the place.
Well, there's a comment here saying, for the most part, mature games have a preference for higher graphics, and Nintendo has never been high resolution system, which is probably a fair comment to some extent. I feel like Call of Duty would not look very good on your Wii U.
No. Well, at the time, because you got to remember the Wii U at the time was like around the PS3 360 era of game, at least the processing power.
Yeah.
So it looked like that. That one to look at. It's Call of Duty, like what's Black Ops 6. Put that on the Switch, it's not going to look as good as it is on the PS5 or the Series X or your computer. It's just not. So I totally get that. But I've played plenty of games that are purposely cartoony as hell looking and still super violent, or just ironically, you know what I mean? Like just like these like
we were playing. Games. I was playing the new, what's it called? Prince of Persia. And that is quite violent. There is a lot. That's one of the most violent Prince of Persias I've ever played. It's brutal. Really? So yeah, it's really nice looking game, but quite brutal. So
I mean, like I was forged in the PS2 era. Prince of Persia games.
You're running around. It's a 2D side scroller, a 2.5D. So it's got that depth to the 2D. But then you're running around with these two giant swords and you're just chopping people's heads off and arms, and it's quite brutal. It's really good. I would recommend.
I always love those games.
Yeah.
I guess I should check that.
Yeah, definitely get on into it. It's got some nice little puzzle bits into it too. Like you've got to jump over here and unlock this, and then you've got to rush over there, undo that, and then you can get out. But you have to work out the sequence and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really cool. Okay, quick question before we wrap this up. Okay, so with Tunic that I was playing the other day, it's kind of like a Souls-based game. It's kind of got a bit of if Zelda met like something like one of those Souls-based games. That's how I would describe Tunic. But it doesn't look like that. It's visually not that game. Visually, it looks like something from Animal Crossing. And I was thinking to myself when I was playing this game, I wonder if they'd kind of made the graphics a little bit darker and a bit like that. Would the game have been way more successful? Would it have been a way more successful game? And I guess my question is to you, do you think is there any games you can think of that would have been way more successful if they had better or different graphic styles, different art styles?
I mean, that's a hard question to say because, I've played... I'm trying to think of games that might have a unique art style and could it work in another way. Here's an example: Jet Set Radio. All right, now that is cell shaded, Tokyo urban setting, and if you were to make that game like ultra realistic, I don't think it would have the same punch, that the original Jet Set Radio would. I mean, how would you play a cell shaded Call of Duty?
No.
Actually, yeah, I would play a cell shaded.
Yeah.
No, I think I would.
Maybe.
Technically, I am right now. I'm playing that game 13, which isn't really that good. I got for my PlayStation 5. It was a game I rented back in the day. I didn't think too much of it. Saw they remade it for PS5, so I was like, all right, I'll give it another go, and I still don't think too much of it.
But yeah.
Sometimes things don't change with time. No, I think a lot of the games, even if the gameplay is solid, even if the story, even if everything but the graphical style is solid, it's just that it's its identity. That's its skin.
Mm-hmm.
So there are games that work with a lot of stuff. I mean, Mario has had a lot of art styles. Zelda has had different art styles. What game has had the most different? The most diverse art styles. What game has had a lot of different, iterations over the years?
You'd have to go with something Nintendo, like your Mario or your Zelda.
Well, so there's going to be ways how the Mushroom Kingdom is perceived when it's 16-bit, as opposed to the way it's perceived now with Super Nintendo. But it's still the same idea, it's still the same evolution. So it's not really that different. Is there any games that you can think of that really just would change how they looked? One series I did like. Did you ever play the Lara Croft games? I think it was called Lara Croft and the Guardian Light. And there's another one where and even she looks different. It looks different than Tomb Raider would look. Any of them, a lot more cartoony. And it was that was a completely different style of gameplay too. But it was a different art style, and it worked for Tomb Raider. As long as the characters themselves are recognizable.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Well, I guess that that's the biggest part of it. There's a lot of different characters that look really different. Kind of, if they change their art style, like if you go to a live action kind of thing, then it looks way different to if it's a cartoon low poly kind of game.
Well, sometimes even just like a good example. Have you ever looked at the first Doom 3? Yeah. I'm sorry, not the first Doom 3. It was the first Doom. It was the Doom that was supposed to be after Doom 3. But it never got like there was trailer.
Was it called Doom? Was it called Doom, but it wasn't Doom?
I think they called it. I don't think it had an official name at the time because they just showed one thing of it. It takes place in a city, and you're fighting imps and demons, and it looks good for the time. It looks ultra realistic, but that never came out. But then you had Doom 2016 come out, and honestly, even though Doom 2016 was years later, so it's gonna look better. The art style still looked kind of different. It looked a lot more colorful. Looked a lot more poppy. The colors seemed to were less muted. I'm noticing that too in a gameplay right now. I'm playing Fallout 3. I've been playing Fallout 4, and I started doing a video series of Fallout 3. And Fallout 3 is a lot more darker and muted. Like it's a completely different art style. You still got like the Vault-Tec boy and stuff like that, but just the vaults themselves is different.
What about Red Faction? I feel like that game changed dramatically from one to the next.
Art style, kind of, but setting was just like complete. Throughout every game, just felt different. Felt like a different series.
Okay, here's a funny one for you. That we've got a comment here that says Mario in a GTA style world would do very poorly. I disagree.
I could see that happening.
I feel like I would play the shit out of that. Imagine just running down the street, jumping on people's heads, and then like going into a pipe. Like, I don't know. It just feels fun.
You could do it, and I'd hate to say it, they would have to look at what Sonic Frontiers did. Because Sonic Frontiers It's not a perfect game by any means, but it might be my favorite 3D Sonic, and that's because it does actually kind of like give you parts where you have to do Sonic things.
Okay.
You know, clearly you'll see a racetrack and stuff like that. So, oh, time to do the Sonic thing. Boom, 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 boom. So I could see them doing an open world Mario game where you might see something that looks like something that you would see playing Mario 64. You know, whether it be a side of a building, a mountain, or something. Oh, if you get up there, you get that star.
Oh,
yeah, like
Mario Odyssey had that part where you're in New York City there.
Yep, no, so,
and that was
yep.
kind of like a GTA kind of vibe to it, and I thought it was kind of fun. So,
I love the part where you go in the little theater and you actually have to go down and you play the first Mario. That part was great. Yeah, like have that, but expand it. Well, you could have Mario like drive. He's used vehicles and other modes of transportation. I'll just have a Yoshi. You know, just get you around town.
imagine all these Yoshis going down the street with people on them, and then Mario just pulls them off and steals their Yoshi. Like, perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
Because they love them. You just jump on the back, they make that squeaking sound, and off it goes.
And then,
eating pink fruits.
Okay, here's the bad thought for you, though. Princess Peach in the strip club.
I would hope it'd be along the lines of Final Fantasy VII when Tifa has to go in the strip club. You know, keep it classy. Just their information. It's being held like the strip club manager is a very violent, you know, boomerang brother, and she has to go in there and just showgirls him to death.
I could just be Bowser would definitely be the pimp on the door. Like only, yeah, that's his role.
And he's got a crowd of horse Goombas around him, and these Goombas, man, they look rough. You know, they've been up all night. They've been rough.
Oh, this is perfect. What a way to end the show.
Yes.
All right, well, see you guys in a couple of weeks. Anything else you got to put into this?
I'm just gonna go to bed now with thoughts of, you know, prostitute Goombas in my head now. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. Thanks.
See you later. Bye.